In the outset, I would like to thank the Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, situated at Pennaluru of Sri Perumbudur, Tamil Nadu of India, and also ICCR in New Delhi. I'm grateful to the director of Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development and his team for inviting me to speak few words to the international audiences on Buddha's message to the youth in the 3-day International Conference on Buddhist Philosophy and its role in inculcating values among the youth. Friends, my topic is the message of Buddha to the youth. The entire preaching of Buddha can be treated as a great message to the youth. If you open the books of Buddhist philosophy and evaluate, you will see the hundreds of teachings of Buddha which are completely humanistic. But the values of Buddha Dharma are not just humanistic, they are also spiritual. Buddha's teachings have influenced all nations in Europe, as well as all nations in Asia and other countries in other continents on this globe. His preaching was a favorite idea for the Stoics, and it found favor with the Schopenhauer, von Hartmann. The full name of von was Karl Robert Edward von Hartmann. The philosophical pessimism was strong in the 19th century and was represented in the systems of Arthur Schopenhauer and Karl Robert Edward von Hartmann. Buddha's preaching was a favorite to these philosophers and to the modern philosophers as well. Buddhism offers a large field of knowledge and has entered and influenced the large part of the world. Thailand, Vietnam, and other countries in Southeast Asia and Tibet, the whole Central Asia, China, Mongolia, Korea, Japan. The humanistic values preached by Buddha have influenced the history and culture of these countries. They gave rise to many literary, philosophical, and artistic works of these regions and countries. Therefore, the importance of Buddha's message is very significant. That is why I have chosen this topic, the message of Buddha to the youth. Buddha's message leads us towards the truth and non-violence. And he advised the youth to be cautious with the causes of the worldly miseries, lust and ignorance. Everyone in the world must face the 4 kinds of conditions in course of his lifetime. They are the 4 conditions are gain and loss. Everyone in his lifetime has to face these 2 conditions, 4 conditions. They are in pairs: gain and loss, honor and dishonor, praise and blame, happiness and sorrow. Once again, I'm reading. The 4 conditions are gain and loss, honor and dishonor, praise and blame, happiness and sorrow. These opposite situations have to be faced by everyone in the world. Interestingly, everyone enjoys the profits. Everyone enjoys profits, but the problem which arises in the case of losses The losses are unwanted for everyone. Nobody wants losses. The losses often lead to the mental agony. But it is under such circumstances, one should show the high moral. The cure which Buddha suggested was the removal of ignorance. Because why we are facing this agony? Due to the ignorance. The cure, that is why Buddha suggested, was the removal of ignorance. And to be alert. He said, appamada. Appamada. It is to be alert. What Buddha said, appamado amatapadam, pamado machunopadam, appamatta na miyanti, ye pamatta yatha mata. Attention leads to the immortality. You see what Buddha says? Attention leads to the immortality. Carelessness leads to the death. Little carelessness leads to death. Those who pay attention will not die, while the careless are as good as dead already. That's what Buddha says. Ignorance, he says about the ignorance, indeed, according to Gautama, ignorance causes the misery of life. Therefore, this ignorance stands first in the chain of causation, paticca samuppada. How it stands first? Avijja, Pachaya, Sankara, which means ignorance is a root cause for immoral actions and thoughts. Avijja nirodha, Sankara nirodho. Therefore, when we stop this avijja, the Sankara will also be stopped. Avijja nirodha, Sankara nirodho. But the problem is just by reading and recitation, the suffering is not going to stop. Our minds need to. Suffering arises due to the immoral actions and thoughts. In Buddha Dharma, as not understand four noble human values. This is very important. In what is ignorance in Buddha Dharma? Not understanding the four noble human values. Because avidya also is there in Vedanta, but that avidya is this ignorance expounded by the Buddha is different from the Vedantic ignorance. In Vedanta, ajnana is the cause of all kinds of illusions, and it is defined as beginningless. Yet it is removable by the knowledge. In Buddha Dharma, ignorance is described as not understanding the four noble truths perfectly. What are the four noble truths? Dukkho, dukkha samadayo, dukkha nirodho, dukkha nirodhagamini patipada, arya sacho. Means suffering, the origin of suffering, cessation of suffering, and the way which leads to the cessation of suffering. These are the four noble human values. These are the four truths. So not understanding these four truths is ignorance, according to Buddha Dharma. When we discuss about the message of the Buddha for the youth, we remember the name of Swami Vivekananda in India. The birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda is celebrated as a National Youth Day in India. Swami Vivekananda grew up as symbol of youth power, who hoisted the flag of Indian culture overseas. He fostered a new enthusiasm for the progress of the youth. Swami Vivekananda had sent a message from the Japan to Indian youth, let's be human. And he wanted the youth to serve the humanity. But thousands of years ago, Bhagavan Buddha gave more vibrant message to the world. Buddha's message what was the Buddha's message? Buddha's message to the youth can be summarized based on the Mahaparinirvana Sutta. According to Buddha, as long as youth possesses 7 kinds of qualities. There will be prosperity and growth, not decline. Conditions of welfare are assembling regularly, assembling unanimously and rise unanimously, carrying out their duties unanimously, not establishing the new rules by neglecting the old rules, honoring the elders, developing a desire to reside in a calm and silent place, attending the ways of mindfulness. According to Buddha, as long as possesses these qualities, there will be a prosperity and growth, not the decline. Buddha, Ajatashattu and Vajjis, this incident took in between these 3 people. That is why I gave this heading. Once when Buddha resided on the Gijhakuta mountain, the Vassakara Brahmana, who was Ajatasattu's prime minister, came to visit the Buddha and informed Buddha of Ajatasattu's plan and his kingdom and his intention to invade the Vajji Republic. But the Buddha advised the Vajjis, but Buddha advised that the Vajjiyans could not force because they keep unity properly. Satta aparihaniya dhamma, he says in this context. Buddha teaches Satta aparihaniya dhamma, 7 conditions of welfare, come across in Mahaparinibbana Sutta of Digha. Mahaparinibbana Sutta of Digha Nikaya, evam me sutam, ekam samayam, bhagava rajagihe viharati, gijhakute pabbate. It's a big, long, it's a continuous, continuing prose, but I am avoiding to read all those things. Then the Vassakara Brahmana says, Raja bhante magadho ajatasattu, vedehi putto vajji abhayati kamo. Which means Ajatasattu wants to invade Vajjiyans. Then Bhagavan Buddha says, Yavakinancha ananda, vajji abhinham sandipata bahula bhavissanti, buddhi eva ananda vajjinam patikankhanu parihani. As long as the Vajjiyans will assemble regularly and assemble frequently, surely progress is to be expected for the Vajjiyans, not the decline. Then what is Satta Parihaniya Dhamma for bhikshus also, he said. Then giving the similar preaching to his disciples, Bhagavan Buddha says, as long as the monks will assemble regularly, surely there will be a progress for the monks, not the decline. As long as the monks will assemble unanimously, there will be progress, not the decline. As long as the monks do not establish new laws that are already established, they have to follow them, then there will not be any decline. Only monks respect elderly monks, respect them, revere, worship, honor them, and listen to them. Surely there will be progress for the monks, not decline. As long as the monks will not come under the influence of craving, there will be progress, but not the decline. As long as the monks will have desire for the forest dwelling, not town dwelling, forest dwelling, surely there will be a progress for the monks, not the decline. As long as the monks individually will attend to the ways of mindfulness, surely there will be progress for the monks, not the decline. This message of the Buddha can be accepted by the youth of the world today. Therefore, today, youth have indulged in worldly pleasures. If you see the condition of the youth, today the youth have indulged in worldly pleasures, and their aim seems to be just earning the bread and butter. Today, our youth needs to be encouraged because they are indulged in violence in public places. This has sparked a great controversy among our citizens and government leaders. Youth are under the influence of bullying, drugs and alcohol, obesity problems. But behind all these problems, as my previous speakers were telling, the major problem which today's youth is confronting is the mental health problems. Mental health is definitely one of the top social issues today. Mental health is definitely one of the top social issues today. The depression, anxiety, and other related disorders affect on the youth's college performance, their social interactions, and overall well-being. You can find many wonderful teachings of Bhagavan Buddha in Dhammapada. The Dhammapada contains the collection of preaching of the Buddha. Therefore, this text is known, this text means Dhammapada text is known as Buddha Vachana. There are 26 Vargas and 423 Gathas in the Dhammapada. The entire summary of Buddhist philosophy is put forth in these 423 Gathas. That's why Dhammapada became famous. What is the message of Buddha? Has always paved the way to solve problems that are interpersonal and ethnic, economic, and social. In Dhammapada, we can find the best message of the Buddha to the youth, which help to resolve the conflicts for benefiting the society. Bhagavan Buddha advised the youth to be alert and mentally be healthy. The disciplined mind, Buddha always speaks about the mind. So that is why I always say that there is so much Buddha things. Because yoga also is completely a science on the yoga and the mind. Buddha also speaks on the science of the mind. Very Dhammapada also starting beginning with the Manopubangama Dhamma with this verse. So disciplined mind is strong and effective, while the wavering mind is weak and ineffective. Therefore, the wise people train their minds as thoroughly as horse trainers train their horses. So Buddha gives the example, because horse, first in the beginning, it will never listen to your words. It cannot understand your commands. But horse trainers know how to train the horses. So in what way horse trainers slowly, gradually train the horses? In the same way, one has to train his mind, he says. Buddha says, Bandhanam chapalam chittam. About the mind, Buddha says very interesting things. Bandhanam chapalam chittam, durakham durnivarayam, ujum karoti medhavi, usukarova tejanam. This is from Dhammapada. Dunniggahasta lahuno, yathakama nipatino, chittassa damatho sadhu, chittam dantam sukhavaha. You should know the meaning of these two gathas. It is good to restrain one's mind. And it is good to restrain one's mind. He is describing now how his mind is uncontrollable, fast moving, and free. It is free. It will go freely everywhere, following its own desires. Because a disciplined mind leads to the happiness. Just as the fletcher means usukara, the person who prepares arrows, who sharpens arrows and prepares arrows, is called fletcher in English, usukara in Pali. In Sanskrit, we call it ishukara. Ishu is arrow in Sanskrit. In Pali, it becomes usu. Usukara straightens. Usukara straightens an arrow. Even so, discerning man straightens his mind, which is very fickle and unsteady and difficult to guard. So, Buddha says about this, to establish the harmony in society, it is essential to understand and to follow these words of the Buddha in a practical way. A person should be given importance on the basis of his or her deeds and merits, and should not be discriminated on the basis of the accidental birth. Buddha spoke the importance of the Buddha spoke the importance of the purity of the mind. Mano pubbangama dhamma, mano settha manomaya, manasache paduttena, bhasativa karotiva, tatonam dukkhamanveti, chakkamba bahatopadam, mano pubbangama dhamma, mano settha manomaya, manasache pasannena, bhasativa karotiva, tatonam sukhamanveti, chayava anapayini. Therefore, I am not explaining the meaning of these two gathas because they are very popular and everybody almost know. Therefore, Buddha laid stress on the purity of the mind, for which one has to remove the mental defilements. Taking bath in different rivers, if a man, if he has given his mental defilements, he is treated as taken bath without taking the physical bath. Wrongly directed mind is most harmful to men. It motivates them to perform the wrong and sinful deeds.